Okay, so going into into actual the detailing, things like the center marks, it would be nice to have a little bit of separation in the colors. So if I were to right click and let's see, I want to look at my available toolbars and we turn on the layers. That shows up kind of down here in the corner. And if I hit that little layer properties, I could do things like a new, maybe a dims layer, and then its color would be my favorite blue. And then center lines, center marks. Kind of like to have that with a high contrast, so maybe not the full magenta, but something kind of striking. And then if we hit F5 on the keyboard, and I'm going to have to do a little rearranging because that is taking up more space than I would like. So let's see, if we go into the customize, I need to unlock. So lock the command manager and the screen basically. So if the filters are there and I put the layers at the end, that looks pretty good. And I can go back, and I don't want to accidentally move these. So if we go back into the customize, then I can lock command manager and toolbars, and now they'll stay in place. All right, so for the filter, if I click on one of these, I'm going to be able to filter out for things like the center marks. And if I window pick, that's the only thing that should be selected. And if I come over to its property manager, then I can go to center. And when I accept it, those should turn pinkish. All right, so one more, center, and I would go through and set those. So let's see, F6 then toggles the filter on and off. F5 toggles the toolbar so that you can see it. Going through and getting established on the details. I don't particularly like to mix styles, and so we have to decide if we're going to, what our critical dimensions are. I think because this is either going to be a press fit or some kind of rotating where the pin goes in. We haven't really decided on our scope of work, which is going to be the movable dynamic portion of the part. So let's go ahead with our annotations. Under the smart dimension, we can do things like well, we'll stay with the smart dimension as a strategy. Not real fond of chain dimensions. Baseline is kind of what we're doing anyway. And the ordinate dimensions, if I'm going through and putting a tolerance dimension on each of those hole locations, that would be my choice as a horizontal ordinate. So maybe we'll come back to that after we've applied some of these dimensions. All right, so an overall height, and I'm still in center. So before I get into the dimensions, I'm going to come over and go into the dims. And so this is something that I would want to have available in the drawing template, is already have these the dims and the center set up. And for whatever reason, I can put those notes in the options center layer, and but it doesn't seem to really apply it. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there. But just having them available is pretty handy. All right, so smart dimension. And since I'm getting partials and kind of jumping around, I'm going to zoom up. Just kind of in the assembly, if you're having trouble picking, make sure that you're zoomed all the way in. So this is an isometric. Standard that we're working in, even though I've set it at inches. And let's see, that would probably be a good place for the fillet. So in this case, I want to do the 2 times. Now there's a kind of a tendency to want to apply that in the model, and the 2 times doesn't really do anything for us in the model. But if I apply it in the drawing, then I have something that's a little bit more functional. And then if I were to put another one over here, oops, I guess I need to be in the dimension. So the 12 millimeters. And there should be a note popping up that I'm modifying. If you get that, you can accept it or say do not show again. I suspect that I've told it to do not show again, or it carried over from last time. So we'll see. And so I've been picking from the command manager. Keep in mind that you can right click and go to Smart Dimension on the context menu, and we'll do the overall. And then the dimensions that we would be interested in to the center mark, 0.67. And one of these we needed to verify, but we don't have the really the rest of the assembly defined to be able to chase those down just yet. So we had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be 7 on the spacing. And I think the standard was moving away from the typical to an actual, just go ahead and put in the 7 times. Changing its spacing. No, I'm not really changing its spacing. I'm just noting it. And we have a position. I haven't really thought about my datum reference, and so that one went into an angle. Didn't really want that, so I just hit escape on the keyboard. And so we need a first position. And I'm just kind of positioning these initially what looks good. So that should be okay. I'm sure there's items that I'm missing. Always on the first pass there's going to be something, and if I'm staying with the datums off of the left side, then I'm going to go ahead and place those dimensions. Okay, so the whole call out then we'll go with that 0.031. This was not done with the whole wizard, so the instance count did not show up. So I'm going to need to manually put in, and there is the manually altering portion of the call out may break or cause an error. Your choice to not show again. I turn that off because I really don't like it to pop up every time I type something in. So 8 times the diameter of 0.31, and we'll kind of position it better. And I really need to find out what's going on with those colors on the drag. Let's see, we were 0.71 off the back, 0.31, and then a 7 times on the spacing for the piece. That actually looks pretty good. Alright, so I'll go ahead and save this again, and we'll do one more. And the connecting rod should go pretty quick. So let's go F6, and because the filter center marks was the last one selected, it comes back to it, and I can switch it to center marks. But then notice when I'm done, if I hit F6 again and turn it off, I can also come down and turn it off. The temporarily changed to center, or at least I thought I saw a little flash over there that changed it to the center layer. And then when we were done, it went back to the dims. So since I'm currently in the dims layer, let's go ahead and put a center to center distance, a outer diameter, and an inner diameter in each of these is going to be 2 times. Oh, so I managed to find the little pop-up box. I do not want the text on top though. Text on right, text on left. So I should be able to go 2 times and hit OK. So if you get into the habit of looking for that little box, the thing I don't like about the little box is that it puts you right over the add parentheses, and a lot of times the parentheses are your reference dimensions and the obround is an inspection dimension. A lot of times I end up clicking on that and applying it accidentally, so that can be kind of annoying. And I guess before I get too far, if you prefer, let's go back over to the options and the document properties. If you want to switch over to ANSI, it's as simple as picking ANSI for your drawings. I started using the ISO about well, quite a while ago, and there are things that I like about the ISO standard that yeah, again, it's just kind of preference, and we pick what's available. So if I go to the thickness, this might be something that I can reverse the arrows on. Now, ISO in this case, not so well, so if we bring it out to the extension lines, that looks pretty good. ANSI would have not left the connector, so it would have just been the arrow on the outside and the inside. So both standards are going to have their pluses, minuses, preferences, limitations. So let's go with the center mark because I do need to show that it is centered on the part. I think that's one of the other items that is moving away. The CL or the symmetry symbol are they're moving away from that as well in the dimensioning standards. So let's see, right click, one more, and smart dimension, and we need the thickness, and we'll go ahead and accept. All right, so that gives me a good start. I'm going to leave the the coupler and the follower to you. Basically reproducing as what we just did as practice, and then we will come back and do the pins and go ahead and make a pass on our sheet format.